The Water Advisory Committee meeting, uh, April 22nd, 2026. We do have a quorum. We'd like to start by standing up and doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think our first order of business has to be to welcome all the young artists. And I'd like to kind of turn the floor over to Diane.
So first of all, we have to kind of do this in a strange way because normally when you come here, you can be artists, but at the same time you are conservationists. Okay, all of you, right? Because you are here because you're helping this committee. This is the Water Advisory Committee for Cave Creek, Arizona. And most of them are volunteers. Okay, right? Yes. So they're all volunteers and they volunteer their time to come here and help the town decide how to help save water. And you know what? Count them. One. You don't count. Two. Three, 4, 5, and one is coming remotely. So there's what? 6 of you? They need help. And so the Desert Awareness Committee, one of our members is on the board, Glenn Wolf, the member of the Water Advisory. My name is Diane Basley, and I'm the education coordinator, volunteer education coordinator for Desert Awareness Committee. And we work with the town in different ways. This way, we're working to help get helpers. The Water Advisory Committee needs helpers. And so there are 14 of you, not all here tonight, but almost all of them, who jumped in and said, yes, we want to help. We want to do something. We want to help. We want to be a voice. We want to come up with a neat slogan. That's what you came up with. That's what you did. And so we have 3 categories. We have 5 schools and a homeschool represented here in all of this. We only got 14 this year, but they're 14 great ones. Next year, we're going to have 44, right? Because it's going to grow and you're going to come back. Something different. So here's what we did. The 3 categories are K through 3. So kindergarten through 3rd grade had a 1st, 2nd, 3rd place. And then we had to change things around because we had many 4th graders. Because Cave Creek Christian Academy just all came out in 4th grade. So the whole 4th grade, Cave Creek Christian Academy showed up, okay, and participated. And so that's a whole category by itself, 4th grade. Okay, so there's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and some honorable mentions, meaning great job. And then we have the category 5 through 7. And we've got a mixture of different schools there. First category, we have a mixture of different. You'll find out. Well, I'll tell you what. We've got Cave Creek Christian Academy. We've got Annunciation Catholic School. We've got Great Hearts Academy here. And we have Black Mountain Elementary. We have homeschool. And so let me turn that off. Okay. And so here's what we're going to do. We want to make sure that the Water Advisory Board hears it. So you see these? Water Advisory Board, you're seeing them? And now, those. Hey, do you see who's holding these posters? Parts of Cactus Charlie. I mean, even when they're skeletons, they can be meaningful for birds, for all kinds of wildlife. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask those people who did one group. Okay, let's try and get organized here. No. Hey, look, Cactus Charlie's protecting me. Yes, isn't he? So here's what we're going to do. I would like to have these people come up to their poster. You can see it. Michaela, Jet is not here. Jethro, Jack and Ben and Jackson. Come on up. These are yours. Come on up. All right, now I want you to come around back here and stand kind of behind viewers. There you go. Come on in here. And so everybody can, I know you're kind of straight, I am. Okay, so here's something, and what I'm going to do is hand these out to them. They are made up of a certificate. Now, usually when you're in a contest, you get a ribbon. So the ribbon Cactus Charlie. And so open this up, get them out. You can hold up your ribbon. So here's Michaela's. And when you get out your certificate, look on the back. Gosh. This is coming from the Desert Awareness Committee because we believe in our youth. We believe that they're the voices, and we want you to put this to good use, spreading the word. Okay, so Michaela, here's yours. Take a look inside before we get pictures. Jethro, here's yours. Everything's inside. Jackson, here's yours. Now, Jack and Ben is an interesting because on the back of this poster it says Jack, and then there's lighter Ben. Then there's a little term that says Jack did most. But we're sharing because it was a team, right? So you each have a certificate, you each have a ribbon, but you split the money. Okay.
Boyd.
There you go. No, these are all honorable mentions. These are the great job, all honorable. Thank you. That's all honorable mention. Okay, so now these posters are going to go places. We don't know where yet. Diane? When? I'm sorry. Here we go. Where are they going? Where's the Zoom people? All
Oh,
right.
the camera's right here, actually. Right up to the camera.
Are we seeing them?
Not.
This is technology. I am old school. Okay.
Now, Diane, did you mention that Bob's son?
Bob, say it again.
His son, is the one who helped with the Cactus Charlie design.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, it is the cutest design. But as you're going to see, now the honorable mention, except for Jack Ben. Okay, and they were allowed to use some of the logos. You see, once we had, cut them out. All your, except for Ben. Happened. Fine. Now we have this category, and we have third place in kindergarten, K3. We have third place in fourth grade, and we have third place in 5 through 7. So how about if you all come up? And one of them is not here, but grandmother. Because he's the homeschooler and he's all the way over in, where is he? Indio. He's in Indio. They were so excited. And Grandma, tell us how he got involved in this. Where did you see it?
Well, home project on conservation. Went up to the Cape Library to get a book
And their
information, and there was the poster
poster.
advertising. I'm
Very
like,
good.
that'd be fun. Like, for work, so we got it and down the
Okay.
house. Got the poster.
Excellent. So Graydon isn't here, but his grandmother is. And you can come up, okay, if you want. This is for Graydon. Lily, come on, Lily. Come on, Lily. Yeah, come on in the back. How do you get back here? Come on. You get around here. I'm an improv. Bowden didn't get here, did he?
No.
Okay. Bowden didn't get here. Okay. So Come on, take out your ribbon. You want to take your ribbon out, your certificate? Get that ribbon out. Did they get the ribbons out the other way?
Yes.
Okay. Is that the coolest thing? All right, go ahead. Let's get there. His is down here. Oh, you want to stand?
I thought maybe they weren't.
All right, and then we'll get. Oh, okay, fantastic. So this is third place winner. Applaud all the grandmas. Yeah. Okay, well, very good.
Thank you so much.
Hey,
Fantastic.
Bob, we need you to hold it up again.
Yeah, hold it up again.
All right.
There you go. Hey.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I get a system here. You know what? Know that teachers have to be improvised, right? Whatever's gonna happen. Okay, this one, this is an interesting one. It doesn't hang like the others do, but I think we've got it. Okay, so let's see if we can get, know their name. Oh, let me get over. We now have our second place winners in all the category, which is Hanukkah. And if yours is up there, get up. You can beat me to it. We've got Hanukkah. And we've got Ava. Ava here. And Ava. And we've got Layla. Layla. All right, Layla. So take out your ribbon. Take your ribbon out. All right, here we go.
Congratulations.
Yeah. We gotta hold it up. Now, we've got one more group, but then everybody is going to at the same time stand up. They're going to give your slogans, because the slogans are the important part, right? I mean, that's the important part that people are going to remember. So we'll say those a little bit. Okay. And where? Oh. Now we will have the first place winners. And guess what? The first place winners are invited to come to the town council meeting next month and talk to the council people too. So let's get our first place winners who are here, up here, and that's Penelope and Reagan and Aiden. Aiden, congratulations. And Penelope, Reagan is not here. By the way, that third place, did you happen to see your cash? How much did you get? 20. How about second place? Oh, whoa. 50.
That's fine. What could this be?
It's this one. And what did this group get? Did you-
7.
The awareness committee is invested in our youth. You have to be the one.
David, which was that?
Congratulations. So take a look at these. Let's have you two start it off. Ready? What's your slogan? Go ahead.
Now water off.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. No, Penelope.
Save water, water is gold.
And Reagan couldn't get here. I don't.
I am.
Okay. All right, turn off the tap. It's a snap. Second place winners. Do you remember yours? Hanukkah, what's yours?
I forgot.
Come and take a look. Ready?
Save water, every drop counts.
All right. And how about Layla? Ava. Layla. Layla. Go ahead, Layla. Yeah. because the trees, the things they did, the roads, and all of them, were so fabulous, so much to it. And the middle one, who was this one? Oh, his phone is not here. Don't be a drip.
Oh, that's Abel.
Come on, give us yours. All right. Okay, and who can remember, you don't have to. How about, third place? Help me with it. Third. Go ahead, what's it? You much more. Great. Okay, our honorable mentions, let's go. Stand up, all of you. Jack, Ben, up. All right, ready, Jack, Ben, get good. Logan.
Where's that?
Water is,
No.
You
Save water.
save water.
okay, there. Okay. Go ahead.
Water.
Water. And that's.
Save water, save earth.
When you remember all those, it'll be a snap. Stay more. So here's the deal. All 14, all of you, here's what you have. What are you going to tell 5 people about this? Tell them about spring water. And so 5 people, 5 different, and they have to promise that they'll tell 5. Okay, there's 14 of you. Each of you will be telling 25 people, telling them. Hopefully they will tell. That's how we spread it. It's like a waterfall. Okay, and now parents. Who are advisory board meeting, shareholders. How many do we have? So think about it. This is where you come the last Wednesday of every month. Here's where you come and talk to them, talk to the words from the public, your questions, your suggestions. That's how villages, towns. So like you all. So it was through your children that we're getting you all. So we look forward to seeing more of you. Watch for all of our events. We have lots of coming up that have. And remember, drip, 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 drop. What is it?
Turn that
Water off. Okay. Save water, waters. Gold. Okay. Folks, thank you so much for coming. Congratulations to all of the participants. We keep the posters. You'll see them all somehow, some way. It'll be in the papers. Prospector. Oh, he was in charge of the prospector. He will get it all in. Folks, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Before everybody leaves, the purpose of this, of course, is the inevitable cut in the Colorado River water that's going to affect everybody in this town. And we're trying to increase the awareness of everybody. And you kids, you start by passing the word. You have to be really careful with this because water is going to be cut. It could be anywhere between 20 and 50%. And if it does, then it's going to force everybody to cut back on their water because there won't be enough. So we want to be very, very conscious of every drop that we use. We want to be very prudent about that. So on behalf of the Water Advisory Committee, I want to thank all the parents and all, especially all the kids and all the artists for your contributions tonight, because this is really, really important to the town. And it doesn't stop tonight. It's going to go on, probably for many, many years in the future. While we continue having Colorado River problems and drought, we're going to have to put more and more attention into how we conserve water. So we're using Cactus Charlie as kind of the messenger. And again, I want to thank everybody who came out tonight and contributed. Really appreciate that on behalf of the town and the Water Advisory Board. Thank you. You're welcome to stay here for the rest of the meeting.
Well, a couple of things that might be interesting to you. Got two images of Cactus Charlie. The post upcoming editions of the paper, other periodicals. Photos for
Yeah, I think Ryan's gonna call them up right now.
yeah. Go through those right now, and then once we're done with that, if you want to leave, that's fine. If you want to stick around, that's fine too.
What these are a series of print advertisements that will run in the 3 local papers that we have over the next 5 months or so, depending on how much money Sean wants to give me. So, yeah. But this gives you an idea of what the Cactus Charlie looks like in some of our ads, and I love the slogans. They may end up as an ad in the future. And all of these, you're going to see your picture in the prospector. If you live in Cave Creek proper, you get this newsletter. And so there'll be a story about this campaign and highlighting all the great work that you've done. So it'll be a lot of fun. So these are the ads. I've already had one comment about, making sure the possessive was right or so, and the plural, but that's great. And these are all sharing water saving tips with our residents and neighbors and just the community to help remind them that, what the little things they can do will save a lot. And so we have a series of, if you want to go to the next one there. And again, it's just sharing ideas of, the easy things people can do just to conserve water. And so since this is an official meeting of, looking for your feedback of what changes you may want to see and stuff like that, because there's, I think, one more page. That's our last one, yeah. I know, old school. Yeah, monitor and mention.
So every time you leave that light glowing and waste electricity and power, you're wasting water. So that's another conservation hint that you should be using brooms and not those power boilers that need to be recharged.
Or wasting water with a hose that a lot of people do. So I'm here to look for your feedback and get some ideas of what you'd like to see changed or added. It's to you guys. I mean, we can ask the audience if you want, but
Does the audience know what My 360 portal is?
That's my favorite.
That's
by the way.
okay.
Yes.
Well, the My 360 portal, and maybe this is something Ryan can talk about. The My 360 portal is an online application that allows you as a resident, when you're signed up for it, to keep track of your water on an hourly basis, a daily basis, a monthly basis. If you're on vacation and you have a leak, before My 360, you didn't know unless your neighbor called you or was able to get a hold of you, like your front yard's flooded. This would tell you, you can almost see it that day or within that hour, like, oh, something's wrong. I'm using more water than I should be. So that way you can immediately jump on it, and that saves you water, but more importantly, saves you a lot of money. And that's what My 360 will do for you. So it's a really cool program, and it's fun to play with because you can see your water usage over time. You can, watch it every hour, like different bars jump here and there. And you can even experiment of like, well, gee, am I watering my plants too much? My landscaper says I should use this much water. Don't forget, landscapers are in the business to make money and they want things to grow. Do your plants really need to have that much water? We have resources on the town's website that you can go, okay, here's what cactus or what desert plants really should be getting as far as watering and the schedules that they need for the summer, fall, spring, winter. So, there's a lot of resources on the website, and the My 360 is just one of them that you should sign up for. It will help you.
Yeah, and we've got a landing page. If anybody's got any questions on it, they can reach out to me. I'm Ryan, by the way. It's free of charge. You just sign up for it and you'll get access to your data, real-time data on any device. We've got a question.
previous year, I guess, when you started from a landscaper, I have a gardener and I have all these pots with all these plants. And it's old and cruddy, so we took it all out. And he suggested that I put in metal art instead of plants, and I've done that, and I'm very happy with it. We're saving water that way.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it My 360 only for Cave Creek or is it available in other communities as well?
Only for water customers of Cave Creek and Desert Hills.
So it's right on our website. So if you just go to cavecreekaz.gov, if you're on the Cave Creek water, Desert Hills water even, you just go to My 360 Cave Creek water portal. And there's instructions on how to sign up.
There are some other communities in the valley, like I think Scottsdale has something similar. It's not called My360, it's called WaterSmart. They actually have the same type of meters. So and there's some other jurisdictions that are trying to roll this out. Surprise has it. I think Phoenix has so many meters, they're trying to do a change out program. I think Glendale's trying to do it theirs, but there's several communities that already have what's called an advanced metering infrastructure. So yeah, just check your community, your water provider, and see if they have it
Yeah.
available to you.
Yeah, every town is either has it, but they don't always communicate about it. You almost have to find it yourself, or they're going to get it. It's so valuable for not only the resident, but for the community, the town, the municipality as well, to be able to keep track of people's water usage. And it's not like Big Brother's watching to go how much you're using, but we can easily access if we had to and say, you have an issue here, you know, see how it spiked up. You may not be able to understand exactly why did I spike up. Let the town or the city help you
Does it also monitor commercial accounts as well?
if they sign up for it. Yeah.
Because I would think there's some of the biggest users, like a restaurant, for example, probably uses a lot of water.
You're singing our song.
Yeah, it's one of the lessons learned. We actually had the local library has 2 meters, one for irrigation and one for their indoor water use. Ironically, they were signed up to the My360 for their irrigation meter, but they had a break on their main service line. So had they known that, they would have known before we did when we got the calls.
Foothills.
Yeah. Now they're signed up for both, so they actually have both linked together. So yeah.
And we have some residents, you know, there's some people in Cave Creek that are very well-to-do. And they have some properties that are very large and they use a lot of water and unbelievable amount. So, you know, and that's what we're trying to educate some of these high-end users, because the average home is what, no more than 4,000 to 10,000 gallons.
A month, you're
A
looking
month.
at about 10,500
Yeah.
for residential.
You know,
Yeah.
some of these get up to 50,000, you know, is that good?
Mhm.
No, but more power to them that they can afford it, but still.
I really like the background pictures though.
Yeah, those are Cave Creek visuals. And then of course Cactus Charlie doing his thing. It's amazing how she, you know, we haven't determined what, gets out there and you know, is wandering the desert. But the visuals are, you know, just so cool that Connor came up with, and it's really cool.
Well, they all look good to me.
Yeah.
You know, so I start rolling them out and start creating more. Use some of what the kids suggested, you know, with slogans, you know,
Yeah.
they are pretty catchy,
Yeah,
and you know, give them credit for it, and
absolutely.
yeah,
Well,
let
and
her
that's
roll.
what we did with Diana. We're, you know, so we're gonna have all the group shots in there with their names,
Mhm.
and then highlight, you know, kind of the first place ones, you know, with some of the slogans and I'll write. I'm not sure if Diane, are you reaching out to the newspapers?
I haven't any pictures, you got.
I got the picture, so I'm reaching out to the newspapers. And so I'll write a little press release about it to awesome, thank you. And I've got their names on the envelope, so I'll figure that out.
Thank you for letting us. This is only the beginning. Next year's an essay.
Well, thank you for all your help and organization.
Yeah.
But I-
Well, we have a sculpture, like a paper mache sculpture, send you at the library.
That's where I learned about it.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
Some people want me to dress up as Cactus Charlie. So maybe that's-
The bar,
Yes,
the bar says, I was gonna do it.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm too young.
yes. Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Diane. Bye.
Thanks, Diane.
Examples for the students who weren't there.
Thank you. You want to do it?
Yeah, I'll take care of that. Sorry to interrupt you.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your grandkid's pretty special, huh? Good. Yeah, excellent.
Oh, and Jet, yeah, those are all mine.
Okay.
Yes,
And I just went home.
excellent. Oh, yeah, no.
So I've got your feedback. I've already, started working on that to make the change. So
Yeah,
if there's anything else or other topics for the future, I mean, these are ready to roll if with approvals. And I've already talked to the papers, the advertising to say, I'd like to start booking space once I get approval. And so
they all look good to me. I just had the two little wording.
I saw that. I'm like, I should have caught that myself, but
So I'd go to press with those. The thing as we come into summer, I had put together some PowerPoint presentations last year, kind of educating on how much water certain things use, be it horses, be it pools, other things. And somewhere either on the town webpage or somewhere else, to start getting those kind of consumption things in there to educate people as to how much things actually use.
mhm.
It's one thing to know that we're targeting 10,000 gallons a month or less, but it's another thing to know that, well, half of that is because I have a pool,
Mhm.
And those are the important things that people really need to know.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, we're entering a phase of lifestyle choices.
Absolutely.
Is it worth having a pool anymore? Not for money, but for the right thing to do for, conservation.
Right. And there's various ways you can conserve water through pool covers and other chemical covers that can greatly reduce the evaporation. And, that's another thing to kind of get the word out that there are options.
I can see Cactus Charlie throwing out.
Yeah.
Cover the pool.
The pool cover's too big. Too many holes in it right now, too.
But for now, Bo, I'm 100% behind you, that's a good start, and I keep rolling out more. And
Well, every newsletter has a Cactus Charlie, even our electronic newsletter has a Cactus Charlie. Pushing it hard on the website at all times. And again, any, ideas that you have, bring them on and let's do it.
the banners that they put up on the highways, that would be another opportunity.
Well, I mean, that is an opportunity maybe after fire season that when we get through the stage 2, maybe there's an opportunity to use some of those digital signs to help remind people.
Not necessarily that so much, but the ones that are on a pedestal on the medians.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Start to get a lot of signs after a while, though.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah.
And Cactus Charlie said, no more signs.
But I thank you for your work on everybody's behalf. And I don't think we can go fast enough, to be honest.
Well, I was going to say, thank you for your patience with us getting this rolled out. So, but it does take time. It took some resources, and I think we're getting there now. We have some momentum to keep it going. We are still talking about getting some decals, that can go on cars or something, just kind of something
Great.
fun. And it may, one of these slogans or so, which you may determine like that's the slogan we want to run with. That could be part of that decal.
Right? You could be the front license plate holder. I know there's a very popular one right now, but Cactus
Cave Creek
Charlie,
Safe Water, or
yeah, you could give the old branding iron a run for the money.
Yes. We're already spending Sean's money, so it's great.
Council wants to do it, no.
Just the 3 winners to the meetings. Council.
Why not bring them all?
I like
Yeah,
them all.
I
They're
like
also
them all.
neat. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that will impress them. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, council will love it. The winners, you mean?
Yeah. Top, well, first.
Yeah, the first, yeah.
First, 3 first.
Yeah, I would invite them and just, representing the entire
Yes.
group. Of course, anyone's welcome, of course, but,
Thank you so much.
and you better be there too.
Yes,
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
thanks.
Unbelievable.
Before we let Bo go, Lynn, Carol, Nancy, do you have anything more for Bo?
Nancy shared, good job. Looks good.
Oh,
That's
thank
great.
you. Thank you, Nancy.
On the posters?
Anything for
The
both.
ads.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like the background, I like the slogans, I think, incorporating a couple of the winners slogans would be really cute, I think the kids get pretty excited about seeing that.
Yeah.
In print or something. So,
I think those first place ones could become an ad.
Right.
Like even kids are saying, type of thing. So
Right.
use that for posters.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Kind of build it into the same format, but with the kids poster instead. Maybe it could be fun, Cactus Charlie, holding one of those posters.
Yeah, yeah. Be the first in your neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah. Get yours. So,
Well, I'd like to thank Brian for, he got some of the information about the posters out to different schools
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, no worries. I'm really happy we got such a good turnout. That was really good. I mean, there's a lot of schools represented here, so it's good to get all that participation.
From different hills, I know I passed out.
See Carefree, Christian,
Talk to the
Annunciation. Yeah, I don't see them. Desert Mountain. Yeah.
Carefree Christian Academy, Kingsborough.
yeah, I can see where expanded, even though they may not be officially Cave Creekers, but it's still a wonderful message. And if they're telling our story,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it applies everywhere.
it applies everywhere. We had we just recently had our brush drop off event this last weekend, and we pretty much let everyone in. I should say that, we let everyone in because it's important for wildfire protection. But we had to explain to someone that they didn't quite, we let the stuff in, but we said, you really don't live in Cave Creek. He was heartbroken and argumentative because he's like, well, wait a minute, my address says Cave Creek. Where do you get your water? Scottsdale. That means you actually live in, you may have a Cave Creek zip code and may call it Cave Creek, but you live in Scottsdale. And he just didn't want to accept that because everyone wants to be a part of Cave Creek. So, but again,
The water cut back.
yeah, and so maybe the communications is a little bit of an 85331, kind of push for communications to get people engaged with, because the water cutbacks are going to affect everyone, not just like we were talking about an FAQ I'm working on for the town, and Phoenix is going to have issues, even though they've got tons of water. I shouldn't put it out that way, but yeah. But
Phoenix will tell you no.
yeah,
Yeah, conservation across the board, I think,
Yeah.
throughout the valley.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. It's like 35,000 people have a Cave Creek address, but only like 5,000 or 6,000 actually live in the jurisdiction.
5,300, yeah.
5,300, is it that much?
Yeah.
Okay, 5,300. So it's, just a fraction of that zip.
So you're all very lucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are very smart a long time ago to say, let's
Yeah.
live up here. Well, good. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Great
Bill.
job, Bo. Thanks for all your work.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
I'll tomorrow kind of light the fuse and start getting them placed in the papers, and start in the papers. When I say it's the City Sun Times, it's the Independent, and also the Desert or the Foothills Focus, because even though that's a lot of Scottsdale, but it still covers us as well.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we have been, it's been part of the kind of the rotation of, when in doubt, put out a Cactus Charlie. So, but it's a good message, and these ads are great to put on there as well, because it helps me for what do I write this week? There's an ad. I'll just place it.
Start incorporating some of the slogans.
Absolutely,
That's
yeah.
where it's going to be good for kids.
Yeah, just highlight, the kids stuff.
Oh, they'll be delighted to see it in print.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
so,
Oh, that makes every kid's.
oh, yeah.
They're, that's the cool thing. They're going to remember this night forever.
And their grandmas.
And the grandmas too. Yeah, for sure. So, well, good. Well, obviously, let Ryan know, or, contact me directly. If you have any ideas or questions about something, just let me know. So,
Okay,
good. Thank you.
thank you, Bill.
Thanks. That check will get to your kid. We need his W-9 still.
He hasn't responded,
Yeah,
not to my knowledge.
okay. But we'll, yeah, I feel bad that it hasn't been sent yet, but I didn't realize he did, didn't have a W-9. So we got away with it the first time because it's like, oh, one-off, and then we're doing more, so,
Yeah, yeah. Well, still waiting.
okay, good, but
We'll
I
follow.
appreciate all that he's doing, so,
Okay, thanks,
Right.
Paul.
thanks.
Yeah. thank you.
We have a couple of guests in attendance, and before we get into the meat of our meeting, I'd like to invite you, if you have any comments about water, to spend a couple minutes at the podium. You're good? Oh,
Our one guest is our deputy director, so he should hopefully have some.
Yeah.
he's welcome to speak.
Yeah. You know about one? Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Staff update regarding water supply, plenty initial.
Yeah. If you're okay, move on to next agenda item.
Let's move on to your presentations.
Yeah. Didn't have like a PowerPoint formally presented, but I do want to talk about what we're working on, and it's funny because I'm getting a lot more calls now about what's going to happen. We do believe there's going to be cuts on the Colorado River forthcoming for next year. It'll start January, but we don't know how deep they're going to go still to right now. The Bureau of Reclamation, who actually issue the 24-month projection, when that comes out, that'll be projected how much water is available on the Colorado River through 27. They do a 2-year projection. That will set that limit. So they have not issued that. They usually issue it in July, end of July, August. So we're still in a holding pattern, and they haven't indicated. What is added confusion to everything right now is that the Bureau of Reclamation did an environmental impact statement report that they wrapped up as part of the reallocation of the Colorado River rights. And in that EIS document, they said some statements and to the point that they basically were pointing out that Arizona was a junior member on the Colorado River Compact. Therefore, the cuts that were forthcoming should come from Arizona's proportional share. So that's where you'll hear numbers up to 70% being batted around. That came out of that document. So the state doesn't agree with that. Very heavily, there was, I think, 1,600 or 2,000 objection letters. We actually issued one. We issued one with the CAP and one from the town ourselves about it. We don't think that follows the actual 1922 Colorado River Compact. The town, the state of Arizona is not a junior member to that compact. We're a junior member to California, specifically in the lower basins. That's because of a judicial ruling. I think it was back in the 70s. Yeah, so that's there's being some really severe numbers out there, but we don't know. It's coming from the federal government. Things on the river are not looking good. The snowpack was not that was actually one of the lowest on record, and the Lake Powell, Lake Mead are low. So you'll hear things like dead pool. That means that those lakes are down to the point that they cannot be used for power generation. That's something that it basically stops them. So, the state overall has actually been trying to help keep those reservoir levels up by not ordering all the CAP waters available to the state for a number of years. But I wish I could give you some numbers when we do have them. We'll make sure the council's briefed on it, and then I actually have to make a presentation to council because as part of our drought management plan, we have to do our projection for next year, what stage of water resources we'll be in. Stage 1 is we're always in a water watch stage up through a stage 4. And stage 4 means that I'm projecting that we have 20, I think it's 25% or more percent shortage in our water resources than our projected demands. So our projected demands are really what we currently use. With the new meters in the system, we have a much better idea of what customers are using. It's just where our water resources sit. It sounds really bad, but we may have to go into those more severe levels. But we actually are still working on bridge solutions. What I mean by bridge solutions is that, we've been planning for this for years. This isn't news to us. The 50+% cuts are sort of news the last several months. But we've been planning for stuff, and we're really working on a couple of key things is some water exchanges. The town has been putting water in storage credits, long-term storage credits. We have close to 3,000 acre feet stored for our use for a rainy day fund. We are wrapping up the agreements with City of Peoria and City of Surprise to give us access to those. We actually why are they helping us out? Because they're getting some benefits. We're going to leave a little bit of the water in the aquifer for them, which is actually typical of these type of exchange agreements. And then we're going to pay them for using their wells to recover their water on our behalf and allow their water on the CIP to run down to ours so we can treat it. That's effectively the gist of the arrangement. So there's a cost to it, but it does allow us to continue to get wet water and allows us to get access to the storage credits. And we hope that when the Arizona Water Banking Authority storage credits that were all put in place for all the municipal industrial users are divvied out, that we can use those agreements to actually leverage that. In addition, we're still looking at other ways to buy water resources. The market is heating up. With speculation out there, we're not sure. So our water attorneys looking out several projects right now. And then we're actually also working on with our highest water users. So I mentioned before, Rancho Mignona Golf Course. They have a contract with us, and they get deliveries of about 300 acre feet. They use about 300 acre feet a year on their golf course. But we actually deliver more to them. So we're trying to figure out that imbalance, because if we can help solve that imbalance, that's water resources back to our portfolio that can keep our customers. We're also talking just with general higher water users. There's a few properties that are using what we think is I hate to use the term, but excessively large amount of water. We're going to start doing individual consultations with these property owners and let them know what's going on. The town is one of those high water users. Our water ranch, our wastewater facility uses a lot of water. So I've got a consultant scope to actually help us look at that to see what technology we can use. It's largely going to our odor scrubber units. So the scope was allow them to evaluate other odor scrubbers. We use what's called a wet odor scrubber. It uses a lot of water, and or change that over to our reclaimed water system that we have. So we're looking at different options. We always pop up on our top 10 user list is our water ranch facility. So we got to be good stewards ourselves. And then we're working on the re-equipping of the wells. We actually had a really good meeting this week. So the next step in that is actually we're going to test the well line that actually connects the well sites together. And we have a consultant who's actually helping us design when you design a well, you need to know to specify the pump and motor, you need to know where the water's going to. So we have different options. The well water can go to an irrigation line, which would then go to the golf course, could help make up some of the supply shortage that we anticipate we're going to have just in general to them. But we're also looking at see if we can get that into the water treatment plant and how it can get into the water treatment plant. So we're trying to balance that out. So, but part of that is making sure that the line that actually connects them all together, it was put in place in 1990 when the town converted to the surface water treatment plant, the private water company. That what's the integrity of that line? A lot of it hasn't been used for a long time. So we knock on wood. We don't have many major issues, but we have to test it to find out. So, yeah, so there's a lot of things in motion. We're all the sale. We're working on what's called the IFB, the invitation for bidders document. So we got to get back into that, get the package together to issue that. We're hopeful with staff workloads. I anticipate probably 6 to 8 weeks before we'll have that IFB document ready to issue.
Is that for all three?
Yeah, yeah. So last fall we put out for just the Desert Hills system. The town received bids. The council evaluated them. The recommendation was that we look at seeing if we can sell all the utilities. So that the bids that we received in the fall are still valid. We asked to have them, I think it'd be held for over 400 days, if I remember correctly. I can't remember the exact date. So this is part of the process. And once we get the numbers back from all of the utilities, then the town can make an evaluation. It's really being pushed by, we have our master plan, which highlighted, all the improvements still needed to the system. We don't need to do them all right away, but we need to continue to improve the system. Part of the improvements that the town needs to do is to our CAP pipeline and also to our water treatment facility. In the next decade, it needs to be rebuilt by permit and by function. So some pretty large improvements that the town needs to do. And on top of that, now we have to look at buying water resources. So if it's just one or the other, it wouldn't be such a stress for us. But since our rates are already so high, council was really concerned about how high can we go. And if we sold the systems to a private company, a larger private company, would they have the wherewithal to wrap our 4,500 customers at that point, our water customers, into a larger system and be able to, if they're buying water, they can buy for a larger bulk rather than us. That's what we've been struggling with. Is we go into these meetings to talk about buying water purchases, and someone wants to sell us, 100,000 acre feet of water. Well, we don't have $100 million to spend to buy that. So we're looking for partners to do this stuff. So that's one of the things. And whether it comes to fruition or not, I'm not sure. The council decision will have to come out of that, and they'll have to decide what they do. And there's some steps beyond that might have to go in place before that would happen. But yeah. City of Phoenix is a great partner. We've actually had a conversation with them about, could they get us more water and how could they get us more water into the system? So we're actually evaluating that right now. We're building that new interconnect site down at just north of Lowe's, just north of Carefree Highway. This week, I expect to get an answer from them as how much, if we're limited to currently 1,000 gallons a minute of flow. That's based on a discussion that's over 8 years old now with them. So now that the decision process has changed greatly, that site can actually accept more flow for them. It's just whether they can deliver it. Phoenix is a great partner, but you got to look at the fact that we're at the top end of their distribution system. So we're getting water out of their Union Hills treatment plant, which is down at the CAP Canal, and we're 5 pressure zones above that. So they have to go through 5 sets of booster pumps to get the water up to us to deliver it to us. So me asking for more water means they have to look at their entire system, and there's the growth down there. Yeah, we did actually talk to them about, I'll be honest, about a connection through the Desert Hills system if we still stay with Desert Hills. They pointed out they're starting to do all their modeling and what they need to improve on their western side of their system. And they're talking billions of dollars worth of improvements. TMSC out there. TMSC is being served by the Phoenix water system and all that development that's going to occur around there and looking on the I-17 corridor. That's all City of Phoenix. I got off the phone actually last week with their director, and she's mentioned billions of dollars worth of improvements that they're trying to do. So I said, well, can we get a little connection? So, they're willing to talk to us, but where that's going to go, could they help us out by taking over the treatment? So maybe obviously in the next decade, we run the plant. When can we make that and run that, at least get that operation over there? We'll still have to pay them to do it. And ironically, the cost for Phoenix, while lower than say what Carefree is being charged currently for Scottsdale treatment, that means we're in bed with Phoenix, and they just set the rates for what our treatment delivers, and we'll have to make sure our rates match that. So it's not just we're going to save a boatload of money. Phoenix will still charge us, and where's that balancing point going to be? That's things we'll have to work on. It is great to be part of a much more reliable distribution system, and then the new Phoenix Interconnect should be up and operational in the next few months. That's going to be a huge improvement to the town. So if we have an outage on our CAP pipeline or on the treatment plant, we have a backup now.
Yeah,
So
you guys are on top of it. Thank you.
yeah. So there's a lot going on. You might have seen some recent stuff. Bo got it coordinated was an article on National Public Radio, NPR. So I wasn't the only one. My photo ended up in it, but it wasn't because of arrogance. It was just I happened to be there the one day, and then it was myself. Bo got quoted. Our Brad Hill, our water consultant, and Max Wilson was quoting the article. Max Wilson is a water resource manager for City of Phoenix. So the fact that he's willing to be on the record talking about Cave Creek situation is huge. In fact, they're willing to talk to us. You may have seen something just came out was
Pulled it up.
I know when I talk to them, I always mentioned it was part of the system. I always mention all our system. I say we have 4,500 customers. I don't distinguish between the two operationally. So he's trying to bring it down to national board. So another thing that just came out, it might have been in the news, was just it's sort of sidestep. Is an article about the homeowners association just won against a ruling against the Arizona Department of Water Resources. So a few years ago, the Arizona Department of Water Resources released a groundwater model for the valley, for the Phoenix Active Management Areas, what they call it. It's not just valley, it actually goes beyond that. And they're basically showing that there's a lot of areas that, and Cave Creek's one of those, that can't support new development growth, residential homes, final plats being signed off with 100 years short water supply, assuming they're going to mine the ground. So the homeowners now won against that ruling. I don't think it has any impact on here up in Cave Creek because we don't have the groundwater to actually issue final plots against. And ironically, the Phoenix Metro model that ADWR has actually ends about a mile north of Carefree. They don't even look at the aquifer up here. So but yeah, that's something you might hear in the news. I don't think it'll affect us, but that's actually allowing homeowners to then move ahead with final plats, which it boggles my mind a little bit, knowing everything that we're dealing with, to have organizations and municipalities that are now have to issue final plats to allow homeowners to build on projects they've invested in. But is the water going to be there? The reason the state put these rules in place in 1980 with the Groundwater Management Act was to protect the groundwater aquifers. So this one specifically, yeah, I got I don't know if it was specific to those areas. They mentioned Queen Creek or Buckeye, Goodyear, and I forget the other city was mentioned in it. So there's some agencies that have stopped allowing or ADWR was not allowing final plots to be signed off on for new subdivisions because they said they didn't have the water supply secured. So that was just in the news yesterday. So yeah, overall, we're working on a lot of stuff, a lot of irons in the fire. We got a lot of staff members trying to do stuff, and we got our consultant teams are really great to help the town out. So yeah, and I wish I could give you the numbers, but I can't right now because I'm waiting for the federal government to tell us what the numbers are going to be. But even worst case scenario, we do have water solutions put in place that'll my goal is always to make sure we get wet water. It's just how long will these bridge solutions and when do we have to jump into the next mid to long term solution is the next question for us. So, okay.
All right, I'm gonna go off topic for a little bit. There was a article in a paper recently about Gilbert. Apparently they had some pretty wildly fluctuating meter reads. And the population, the HOAs, brought a huge lawsuit against the town. They had to shell out about $500 million, to go through and verify. I believe that everything that you've told me with the process of converting to the Neptune, that we don't have that issue.
Yeah, so slight off tangent. So I don't know the final resolution. They actually just released an audit that they had just done on their metering system. So they, from my understanding, Gilbert had two things going at the same time, which sort of exacerbated the problem. They were doing a meter upgrade project and were converting to an AMI metering system. I forget the metering technology they were using. So that was part of it. And at the same time, they were changing their billing system. And they basically, everybody who was on the billing system was now forced to re-up on the billing system. So some of the issues that came out of that, and I've heard from some of the Gilbert staff in some meetings and stuff like that, is people had not signed up. And effectively, if you are on auto bill pay, it didn't automatically renew. You had to go back in the system and input your new information. So people didn't do that. So they were getting notices 2 or 3 months. So they were getting a water bill that was actually the equivalent of 3 months worth of water usage in 1 month. And that's where a lot of it came out of it. It's like they were saying my payment went up so much, but it wasn't. It's because it was a backing. At the same time, a third component that they had going on was they actually are doing significant rate increases. Gilbert is very proactive about paying for infrastructure and water resources. So they've been going through a number of rate increases. So you had the rates were going up. People weren't getting the bills timely, so they were getting backed up and getting 2 or 3 months bills at one time. And there was a few meter issues that they had, but very few. That the metering issue is what I saw exacerbated in the media. They just picked on a few meters and what happened, a lot of them, the few that I knew about, the meters were set up in the system wrong. So when you set up a meter, you set it with a number of dials. In effect, so it's when you pull that information from a meter, it tells you, okay, I've got 8 digits, and these are the order of the digits from a 1/10 of a gallon to a 100th of a gallon up. Well, they weren't set in properly, so they were reading high, and that was only a handful of meters. And they went and did an audit of their system to look for those and to verify the physical meters and the setup of the meters. And the audit came back saying there was just a handful of things to correct. I think it was just the exacerbation of all the other issues at once. Gilbert. So, I'll give credit to Gilbert is taking a pretty bad lashing in the media over that, but there's some justifiable reasons what happened. And a lot of it seems to come back from the billing system. They did too many things at once, and the people were getting bills for 2 or 3 months worth of water usage at once. And then when it was exacerbating, and because their tiered system, all of a sudden it was a huge bill, and they had to go back and reconcile some of that. So yeah, I feel bad for them.
Well, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
That was not in the article.
No, yeah, I don't know why it's not getting out there. It's just they're picking on a few people who had really high bills, and there was a handful of meters that got, I understand, coded incorrectly. So they were reading incorrectly in the system. But that was a handful, is my understanding. So
What percentage of our meters are converted?
well, all our meters are Neptune now, but we're picking up just under 61% is the number through the AMI system, the advanced metering system, where we're getting the hourly data.
Yeah.
It's almost all of Cave Creek. There's only 20 plus that in Cave Creek that we're having some issues with, and we're actually going to investigate whether it's a site condition or whether it needs to be converted to what's called a cellular antenna. So it's sending out a signal and we can't pick it up with a repeater. And the Desert Hills has the issue of the town converted Desert Hills to Neptune's system first. The first tranche of meters that got installed from 2012 to 2015 and that's when most of the meters were changed out, because it used to be a manual read system, where it's an older generation of the Neptune meters, so they have a lower wattage radio. That means instead of our current meters put out a 1 watt radio signal, so it's more easily picked up. The first generation Neptune meters only have a 1 watt, so 1/10 of that power. So it's less likely we'll pick up that signal even with collector sites. We actually have worked with the city of Phoenix, and if you know, the Phoenix Park is out by 7th Avenue, the base of 7th Avenue and Carefree Highway, this Phoenix Mountain Preserve out there. The radio tower on top of that, we're actually going to be able, not on the radio tower, but right next to it, we're going to actually put a collector site up that, which looks back over Desert Hills and Cave Creek. So that should be up here in the next few weeks. And we're hopeful we're going to get another jump up in the number of meters we're collecting because of that site. So our goal is to get to the 100%. It's just going to take some time to get there. We do have money in this year capital program and next year to do the conversion in Desert Hills, which is add collector sites out there and start converting those pre 2015 meters to the higher wattage radios. We're paused a little bit. We're going to put the collector site up, but because of the sale, the money won't go away. So we'll probably just roll over this year's to next year and do a larger project next year if the town proceeds with keeping the system. So we're on a sort of a pause because of the invitation for bids on that one. But yeah, it's good progress. Yeah, it's just under 61%, I think, is what we're receiving right now.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Let me ask another question that over the last years concerned me about the security of our systems from outside cyber attack. If somebody would penetrate the water system, shut it down.
Well, if they can figure out all the power, no. No, yeah, we actually look at that a lot, and we're actually required, we're going to be doing a risk assessment here that includes a bit of cybersecurity, but yeah, it's actually a conversation I just actually had with Brian Poor, our IT coordinator today, about access to the systems and our firewalls and VPNs in place. So something we take very seriously. A lot of our systems, like a lot of our remote sites, we now have what's called a mission system at them, but the mission actually just keep feeding us data, so there's no real control of the sites. It's just a monitoring system. That's given us eyes on the sites that we didn't have to. But then when you look at our two treatment plants have what's called the SCADA system, supervisory control and data acquisition. And to get access into that, it's actually on its own network, on its own firewall. Staff with certain privileges on a town device using a VPN client can create a link to get back into it, so we can remotely control those. But it has to be on a staff or a town device and through an authorized link to get through the firewalls. So yeah, we take it very seriously of how they can deal with that. We have a few of the main Desert Hills, all the sites out there on a SCADA system. There's some functional control. There's one site that doesn't have much control, it's more monitoring. And then Cave Creek, there's actually the Neary, Carroll Heights, and Rockaway are the 3 remote water sites that can be controlled from the water treatment plant. The rest of them are all just monitored. But yeah, just overall, we're very concerned about that and making sure that, everything's secure from a billing standpoint, because that's another thing people are concerned about. Could someone hack into our billing system? Our billing system our Casella system is actually hosted on site. So it's actually on the town server. So it's not like on the web or something like that. So again, through firewalls, with a town laptop, we can create a VPN client to go and do stuff. So I can do stuff remotely, or staff can do stuff remotely, but it's actually hosted on site. So there's what we can always do better. We're trying to improve, but yeah, I think we're pretty secure, but we can always try and do better.
Okay.
I had a question on, I don't know who Diane asked, I assume it was Bo, about the awards for the winners of this contest, and they said the town had no money for that.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know that because we set aside the money for the water conservation outreach, and we've got that. So I would have said, yeah, let's that we can use that money to set this aside. Seems like a justifiable use to me to do that. I'm not sure where that conversation came from. So
No, I just found out about this yesterday or the day before.
yeah, I'll have to check with Grady Miller, but I don't know why we couldn't offer up a little bit of money through the water conservation, because it's helping our water conservation outreach.
I mean, it turned out, I think, $600 that our group ponied up, no problem.
Yeah.
But again, I thought we had some money for conservation.
Yeah, and I know we wanted to work with your group to do a more of an outreach contract too. So yeah, I don't know why we couldn't just do that one.
Find Diane up and she takes off.
Oh no, yeah, I don't know where that came from. So she talked to Bo, yeah, and Bo mentioned it's in our budget, so it's just a matter of us, we gotta make sure that it's following all the rules and everything like that. So yeah, and you guys you're already set up as a nonprofit organization, so I don't see there should be any issue with that. So yeah, we'll talk offline about that. Okay, you want me to jump into the next item? There's a lot. The next one's a pretty financial heavy one.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about the performance and the budget, you know, you just kind of go top level on that and.
Yeah, I'll skim through it. I know you guys haven't been as involved, and part of the purview of the Water Advisory Committee is to be involved in our overall funding and rate settings. And I know this last rate update was a more of a quick update one. So we do probably anticipate having to get into another one. You know, we did do some good things with changing some of the tiers around. We created that lower tier of 4,000 and below, and then we lowered the upper tier. But there's some more work to do on that. And then you guys brought some really good thoughts forward. So, but we had a couple of things we're pushing against is that the 2022 rate study that we did put in place, we're falling behind on that one. So we needed to do something to get a catch up in the last couple of years of that study, because we actually had adopted a 6-year rate increase during that one. So we found that between the capital program and just operating costs, we were falling behind the revenues that we were anticipating. That's this last year, that was a catch up one. But moving forward, we'll get you more actively involved. Overall budgets. So you're seeing one on your screen here. This is the wastewater. So the town runs 3 enterprise funds that so wastewater is our fund 40. You can see the numbers there on the left side of the screen. It starts with a 40, that's fund 40. We have 40 is wastewater, 50 is Cape Creek Water, 55 is Desert Hills. And so that we just break those down. So from an operational standpoint, we know, and then we can, as the revenues come through, it gets appropriated to that. And then there's the capital programs. So bring your attention to that number string that you're seeing, the last 4 digits, and the top one starts with a 1001. All the 100, all the 1000 series, that's our personnel costs. So 1001 through 1999, our recruitment and retention pay, that's what we set aside for our budget. And if you add that all up, that's more than probably about a third of the budget goes to just staffing. So for the department overall. So it just shows, you know, we invest in our staff, and that's what, you know, the town asks, you know, that we have to pay our staff appropriately. We have, you know, professional staff, and you know, we between benefits and everything else, you know, it's not just salaries. You know, the town actually, our staff are on state retirement, so we have to participate in that. And then health costs, you know, again, health costs is almost a fifth of the cost of the salaries, just because how much it costs to actually give town employees health benefits.
John, on this form, the total is 10-month spending.
Correct.
And the budget, is that the full year budget or the 10-month budget?
The budget is actually the adopted 12-month budget.
The 12, okay.
And we ran this report as of when we did it last week. So in fact, this was report, it says through April 30th, but it actually only includes invoicing that were in our billing system as of last week. Yeah. So we haven't completed the month. So they'll still, we're not truly at an April. If we wanted to do it correctly, we should have done a March one for you. That would have shown the in March, and we're into April already. But we just want to give you a flavor for it. I guess thinking back, we should have done that for you. So at the bottom of the report, it says 83% expended. That's 83% of the fiscal year expended, but we actually haven't got all the invoicing in for this month. So overall, we're doing okay. Again, the personnel services, we have a lot. If you scroll up a little bit, so the last 4 digits of our IDs are, again, we go into the 2000 series through, so 2040, which is software, going through 2240, which is our insurance premiums. Insurance is actually not health insurance, it's actually our risk pool. That's what we consider our contractual services. And that's, we have softwares in there, other things in there. And then the 3000 series are our commodities. So that's things like software and supplies. That's sort of how we break it. You know, it's personnel services, contractual services versus commodities that we purchase. And again, one of the biggest items we have is electricity. You know, employees, electrical costs. We budget $260,000 for electrical costs. That's running in wastewater. It's running our wastewater plant and the lift stations. Other contraction services at $275,000 there, closer to the top of the page. That's for us to, the town doesn't own things like a Vactor truck. We have, you know, on the water side, we have a Vactor trailer, but the Vactor truck are those large vacuums that go out and they help us clean the sewers and keep stuff going. So we contract that out. Just in order to magnitude that piece of equipment, if we were to own our own Vactor truck, which would be nice, you have to have a crew to staff it. And then they're typically close to $750,000, if not more. So for this town standpoint, and they require a lot of maintenance, it makes sense just to contract that out and have that services done. We have to always do that evaluation, whether it's better for us to have our staff do it and have our staff the tools to do that, or we contract it out. That also, that's a sewer videoing and contractual services. We have professional services in there. That's for us to do professional services outside of the capital program. When we have a capital project, we can assign it to, but we still have a lot of professional services that we have to deal with. We even charge things like our permits to that. So, yeah, overall, it's again, we're showing a $2.1 million budget for wastewater. And as of this report, we'd actually only expended, let's see, the total of $1.35 million, so 64%. So again, just to give you a flavor of the competition, the most left column is what we call encumbrances. That's if we've issued POs. And we need to be better about issuing that. So when we issue a contract for someone, we'll issue a PO. We used to do it where, like, say, if we had factory purposes, they'd issue a blanket PO at the beginning of the year and they'd burn that down. We've gone back and forth whether that's best practice because that ties that money up so you don't look like it's unavailable. We also manage the year-to-date actual, and the total is the sum of the encumbrance and year total. So it's really the total versus budgeted. And the second last column is just the unexpended. So at this point, we have $750,000 left. But we anticipate most of that is in the salaries right now, and then contractual services $140,000. But we do have a lot of work we need to do, and we actually had some repairs to do at the wastewater treatment plant. We had a couple of large pieces of equipment go down, so we have a little bit of capital dollars to help for capital equipment. But I'm looking at using some of that monies to pay for. We had what's called mixers go out. We had to pay for 3 mixers, and those mixers are over $30,000 a piece. They're the original mixers from 2010. So we have 4 of them. One of them we replaced 4 years ago. 2 of them went recently, so we had to pay for those. So there's a third one, or the fourth one still in place. We proactively bought the spare unit because it can be several weeks to get one. That can impact the process. So those 3 were sort of things we didn't anticipate, but that's over $70,000 worth of equipment that I think we can fit into that budget, which means we're going to be still doing some sewer cleaning, some other stuff, but that'll consume a lot of the budget up. So that's the gist of the overall budget. When you look at the operational supplies, that's another big one, the $310,000. Before we used to, and before Sherry White, we actually had a lot more items in the line item budget. So in operational supplies, we used to break out chemicals. Now that's rolled up into operational supplies. That's another big one for us. In wastewater, chemicals include the chlorine for disinfecting of the wastewater, and then actually we have to remove the chlorine because we can't send chlorinated water up to the golf course. So we actually have to chlorinate it to kill all the bacteria, and then we actually dechlorinate it. So we have 2 chemicals that we use the system, and then we also use bioxide in our sewer system to keep the sewer odors down. So that's a large cost. That's getting close to $90,000 a year just on chemicals we put in the sewer system to keep the odor controls down. So. But yeah, staff managed it very well, but I think we're doing good on the wastewater budget, even with a couple of these large things that we need to do. On the capital side, I'll get to that later. We're a little behind in that, partly because of staffing. You guys knew when Nick was with us, and when Nick left and now Ivan's here, we sort of got a little behind on getting some of the capital projects out the door. And this year, I'll explain a little bit more into capital. We had to do some funding. Well, we had an approved capital program. All the funding wasn't put in place. We had to wait a little bit to start on that. So jump down to, I'll talk about the capital as one at the end. But yeah, it looks like in capital expenditures, it looks like we're really behind. We got a couple of projects queued up, and we actually have some contractors we've met with to get some scopes done. So we get some manhole repairs and some sewer line repairs that we're going to start getting going here shortly. So let's run over to the water budget. So the first of the 2 water budgets, Cave Creek Water, that's our 50 fund. Because that's a larger of our budgets, $4.6 million in total. That's where we pay for things like the Colorado River water. Like Desert Hills is $3.8 million is the budgeted fund. The employees, how we break them apart, and it's just clear, so we never did like a true cost of service analysis of how we break the employees, and it's varied every year since I've been here. We try to stabilize it. I spread it amongst, again, like my time and Ryan's time and Ivan's time. We just say, okay, how much are we spending on each operational task, and sort of divvy it up that way. We've never done a true cost accounting, just so you guys know where that. So we take the total, what it costs as employees, divide it through that matrix, and it gets divvied out between the funds, and then that goes into the rate study. So we just try to divvy our time out between staff members. Like all our water treatment plant staff are charged to the Cave Creek Water. because Desert Hills gets a charge back for treating and delivering water to them. So it does make sense to charge them. And a few years ago, before we had that charge back put in place as we do currently, we actually charge a portion of our water treatment plant staff to Desert Hills. So that's where if you look back in old budgets, you'll see the staffing jumps around a little bit, and that had an impact on the staffing salaries and where they were being charged, which fund they're being charged to. But yeah, our biggest ones again, Cave Creek is the staffing. You'll see there it's over $1 million of that is staffing. The next biggest one is actually the electric, sewer, water, and trash. We're close to $600,000 in electrical costs in Cave Creek Water. 500,000 of that annually is just us moving the water up the CAP pipeline and putting that water through our treatment plant. That's the biggest cost of the town. Switching to the city of Phoenix, they're going to charge us. So I did the evaluation looking for out next year when we start running water to the city of Phoenix. It may cost a little bit more because we can't just turn the pipeline off. We can't just turn the treatment plant off. So we have to run MK Junction. This next year is going to be a good one. And as the next few months, when we start bringing that online, we'll watch it through the fall and really get us good projections for the following years. We can do next year's budgeting. I think I can absorb it within next year's suggested budget. But yeah, that'll be a balancing point for us. The raw CAP costs are actually one of the next larger items. And that shows under, it's actually just a hair under the electrical cost. Well, actually, it's actually more. We have 805, 740 was largely electrical. And then the CAP water costs are $805,000. So that we anticipate to grow. This next year, the CAP does a 5-year projection on what the water costs are going to be. The last few years, and now we're into they've been projecting, and they do it on a fiscal year, our calendar year. Well, we budget on a fiscal year. What I mean by that is they go from January to December when they do projections, and we budget July to June. So we're off a little bit. So we get the first half of the year is the lower rate, and the next rate when it comes in, we have to pay for the next higher budget. So it can be confusing sometimes, but we keep track of it. But the actual raw cost of the water is going up. We pay for 2 costs on the CAP water. We pay for debt service. So when the state built the Colorado the CAP canal system, it actually was a loan from the federal government. I forget, it was a few $1 billion. So but it's getting that money from the federal government. They had to pay that back. So that's what we pay for. We're paying for the capital cost on that, operational cost. And then we pay for the cost of operating it. And they have to, while we have to pump up 12 miles and 600 feet in elevation difference to get that water up to Cave Creek, they're pumping 360 miles through multiple booster pump stations, a lot larger volume. So their costs are much higher. So a larger portion share of the cap water cost is actually just their pumping electrical cost. And they also have their O&M. They call it their capital program is largely their O&M operation and maintenance. So their back capital cost is largely paying off the debt service, and then their O&M actually helps pay for the maintenance of the system. And their projection, what it's trying to get to, is they've been projecting and utilizing the 25% cut in their projections. If that goes deeper, they're going to have to reevaluate their costs. So that might be a sudden bump up because there's less water available, there's still the operating costs are there. They're still got to pay for the debt service and all that. So that's another thing we're sort of on pins and needles waiting to figure out what that's going to look like. So
I've had people ask me, why don't we have solar panels over the CAP and so forth? And they said it was too hard to clean the canals. If they cover them, it would stop evaporation, and it would also.
I've heard of a couple of different things. The CAP actually did some evaluations. I've heard a couple of different things. Is one, the length of the canal and the, while it sounds good to, 360 feet, you're talking about a linear spread. You have to now put foundation footings in. And I think the cleaning is more the operational because there's access roads on both sides. So now if you're going to put those solar panels up, you'd actually, you wouldn't put them over the top of the canal because the canal's not built to support that. Now you put a foundation in. Now you're going to put that foundation outside so that you can drive on either side of it. Now they're elevated. So when you start working your way through it logically, and then if you start elevating it, they have to be wider to get there. So now you're talking about trying to bridge not just the canal, but the access roads. So while you get more solar panels, now you got a foundation. Now you have actually a structural support to keep it up. So, it sounds good, but when in theory and practice, it's really hard to get to it. And then the canal lining, like recently they had an issue with a section of the canal, and they still need to get in to repair that lining. It's just a concrete channel. So it does have issues. Several years ago, there was a section just downstream of where we take our water out that the canal, it tilted in. They had to go in and had to shut the canal off in that section and actually go and do a repair and do that. So if you have the solar panels, you have to remove all that and do all that. So yeah, it sounds good in theory, but when you do practical, well, I've heard the numbers are billions of dollars to even do the infrastructure and whether it's worth it at that point for the evaporation. It's moving water. So it's actually less evaporation than people think. The stagnant water, like the lakes at the golf courses or say Lake Pleasant, have more evaporation than the moving water in a river. So that has to factor that in and consider that too. But they have done those. They've looked at that and they've mentioned it in detail at some of their CAP meetings. So yeah, so Cave Creek Water, again, we're looking fairly good there for the operational budget, I think. And then so on Desert Hills, I think we're similar. Again, we have our personnel costs, contractual costs, and commodities costs. And we do our best estimate. Sometimes the line items do jump around because something will come up in one or other. We sort of try to look at the bottom line. During the year, we can actually ask for budget adjustments to move money from line item to line item. With Sherry on board, we're spending a little more time on looking at that just to keep up with it. It's been hard because every year we've had something to come up like, oh, how do we pay for that? We sort of take budgets from several line items and move it into one to make that purchase. So if you look back at the old historic budgets when we're doing budgeting, it's like, why did we have that bump of that? Well, yeah, we had something we had to pay for that year, so it wasn't an ongoing cost. So we try to balance more along the bottom line. That's where we look at it. But I think we're doing fairly good in Cave Creek Water, and then Desert Hills is similar. Where we're trending below. Desert Hills is actually only showing the operational expenses at 50% through April. I'm trying to think, we're going to get a big bill on something.
Well, that's the contingency line.
Oh, you get that? Yeah, so that'll be unexpended. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's even showing up, but that goes in and out of the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was in there. So yeah, so a $556,000 contingency account in Desert Hills that that's in case of emergency, which we don't anticipate, but we don't have a reciprocal one in Cave Creek and Desert wastewater. That's odd because I know it's over the years I've been here, it's come and gone, whether it's been in the budget or not. So that does skew the numbers. So, but overall, I think we're trending well. I'm cautious next year with bringing the Phoenix Interconnect online. We actually are getting very good rates through the next December. So this next this fiscal year we're going into then and 6 months into the next one. Phoenix has already told us that they anticipate the costs will rise as their costs of running their Union Hills plant. They need to do some improvements. And then if you've heard about the advanced water purification project they're doing at their Cave Creek Water Reclamation Facility, which is across the canal from that plant will start putting some water into it. So that'll become a water supply to the Union Hills plant, a portion of the water supply. So that'll when they do their numbers calculations, they'll actually have to balance the cost of that very large project into it. So we anticipate our rates will go up, but yeah, this balance. They give us a 2-year guaranteed rate, so it helps us gives us some projection to balance it forward, and then we can look at that with the rate studies to see if we can generate the revenues to keep up with that. But we'll get the next one next year. So overall, I think operationally we're doing pretty good. Again, capital, we fell a little behind. I'll be honest with you. We have a pretty aggressive capital program that came out of our master plan. When we completed the 2024 utility master plan, it pointed out, and you know anything about the history here, a lot of it's actually stuff, the town did master plans before even buying the water system. And some of the projects that we've identified are things that, were identified prior to us buying the water system. We're still working our way through it. Because when you do a master plan, you're looking towards, the 25 to 30 year to 40 year projection. In our case, we were actually looking at 40 years. What would the system look like at growth? You work backwards and you correct deficiencies, and you also pay for growth. Some of the stuff that we're looking at is stuff that was identified 20 years ago that the town's still working on. And one of that was like an upgrade to the water treatment plant. They anticipated back in 2006, before completing the purchase, that the water treatment plant needed to be rebuilt. Well, we did an upgrade in 2008 to add the treatment capacity, and we added the pulls in 2020. But now we're looking at the next 10 years, we probably need to rebuild that plant. So it's things like that, so it's not that it's all new. It's just stuff that's now coming into fruition. We fell behind for 2 reasons, because I know council last year, when we put the CIP together, we did it with, we moved it around. I think I worked with Sherry 5 to 7 times. I lost track of it to rebalance stuff and move stuff around. And we do a 5-year capital program, but actually for the rate study, we look at 10 years, and the master plan had 25 years worth of projects. So it's balancing what is essential versus what's nice to have versus what needs to have. So we had that conversation multiple times. And then last year we also had to put the lens on water resources. We were starting to get a little more clarity on what water resources may cost. And we put in over $12 million in water resource purchases and trying to fit that in. And then where would that fit in and how we can balance that out. So there was a lot of moving parts, and we had to do that again this year. And then the other thing was, council gave direction that in the past, you might be aware, might not be aware that, as a utility fund, we're trying to be what are called enterprise funds. So we're generating the revenue to pay for the operational costs and sufficient revenue to help us pay for the capital program moving forward. Well, the town has actually supplemented the funds. In some ways, they've done it by, like on the wastewater fund, there was a 0.5-cent sales tax that was put in place that allowed the town to pay for the relocation of the wastewater treatment plant down to Carefree Highway back in 2010. The loans were taken out in 2008 and 2009. It allowed the town to do that project. It was $26 million to move that treatment plant. And those loans are going to get paid off in a few years. And they also put in place a 0.5-cent sales tax. So they realized that the customer base, which we only have 940 wastewater customers, couldn't absorb that much of a rate increase. So that will expire here in a little bit. So we won't have that cost. But now that's expiring that to pay for that past capital cost. We now have to look forward that, we have an aging collection system. So we're spending more time on repairing the manholes and repairing things like mainline repairs and stuff like that. So as the system starts to age, wastewater systems goes through more abuse, I think, than the water system, and we have to have a lot more. And if we have to keep up with that infrastructure, so we don't get a failure. And we've been proactive with things like our Rancho Mignonna lift station and some other things. But this year, when we went into the capital program, because council gave us a direction to try and debt fund everything, there's only a handful of projects that are what we call cash funding. So most of it got put out as debt funding, and that debt funding didn't get issued till the fall. So we had a capital list, start working on it. It's like, where's my money? We had to go get the money. So they issued debt, and then we actually have that. So they actually issued $7.5 million worth of debt last fall to help pay for the capital program that we have at $7.25 million. On a wastewater side, it was $1.25 million of debt was issued. And the way Sherry structured it was actually for this fiscal year, next fiscal year. So we have that much money to spend. It's been set aside for us to spend. And we identified about $450,000 in projects on the sewer side to be spent with debt-funded manhole rehabilitation, $500,000 or $150,000. The collection system repairs, $150,000. Equipment at the treatment plant for $100,000 and $50,000 for start a study at the Rancho Mignonna lift station. We're wrapping up the first 2 scopes where we're actually getting contractors working on that stuff. The improvements, equipment, I think we've just made some larger expenditures. So I'm weighing between what we want to do with operational costs, because I'm also cautious that this is debt. This is long-term debt that people need to pay off. And if we're buying a piece of equipment, how long is it going to last? And do I want the ratepayers to have to pay for that debt, or can we absorb it within the operational budget?
You touched on something earlier, Sean, and I think it's a real key. The odor system, to reduce the amount of water you use in that whole process. I would elevate that up to like a top priority, for your CapEx.
Yeah, and that's actually, I've got the scope of work, and that was actually one of the 2 projects that we had set aside with cash reserves. So it wasn't in that. So I've got the scope of work with the consultant to help us do that study. And then the other cash that we were using was working on the force mains in the wastewater side. And we've done, you might have heard me refer to the ice pig. So we actually did complete the ice pigging. So we actually put an ice slurry down the force mains. And it was kind of interesting to see. Sounds kind of gross, but it actually is an interesting engineering hat. And we cleaned our 3 large force mains. Now we found another issue in our Stagecoach one we didn't know about, where the force main actually has been pinched. So we had someone do a bore, and we have to figure out who did it, and actually pinched the force main to a point. And we actually had a blockage. After cleaning it, the blockage came because there was a rock that got in the line that got stopped at that pinch point. So good thing was that pinch point is only 3 feet from the end of the force main, so we could find it. We actually put a camera up. It's like, what's here? Bad thing was the 3 feet from the force main, so that means all this cleaning that we just done has gone backwards because we actually had the line blocked and now it's cake and grease again. So we have to figure this out. But that was our life 2 weeks ago, getting a call on a Sunday afternoon saying our force main is not pumping water. So it's always a challenge, but yeah, things like that. And so the force main assessment and getting the irrigation study, efficiency study at the plant to see what we can do. It's ironic because one of the suggestions was, could we convert the odor scrubbers over to reclaimed water? So we might have to do a little skid mounted polishing system to clean it up a little bit more. But that's also taking water away that we're sending up to Rancho Minana. So we got to balance that out. Is it worth that loss of water? Because then if Rancho Minana is not getting it, well, we want to help get efficiencies in their lake system. They still have their irrigation use. So that's part of the study, was to look at that. But you're right. Yeah, that lens of, we need to be good stewards. We're asking other people to look at their water usage. If someone asked me to give the top 10 user list every month, we're going to be on that list. So, so it doesn't look good. So we need to be proactive about that. And the town built the system down there, to give a little context of history. When the town relocated the plant, if you've been here for a while, the first plant that we had that was in Rancho Minana, the town had an issue with odors up there. The neighborhood adjacent to it won a case against the town for odors. So rightfully or wrongfully, we ended up having to buy 3 lots adjacent to the site to create an odor easement. The property owners were told, or they went to court and said that basically someone in the town said there wouldn't be no odors from that. And I would never tell anybody that from a wastewater collection treatment plant, you'll have no odors, but they won the case against us. So when the town relocated the site, they were very proactive and put a lot of odor control on that. Can we change that technology out is the question. And then what's the capital cost and return on investment? And using that lens of water, as the water rates have gone up now, we're paying those extra rates. So that actually directly hits our operational budget too. So, it adds up. The return on investment might not be that far out. And once we get the study done, then we can figure out when can we pay for that. Can we do it next year's capital budget or the following year? So again, I look at the lens of when we did the capital projects, we have $7.25 million in debt, and there's some operational funds, but it's really those 3 pots, which is $1.25 million in debt that was issued for desert wastewater, 4.5 for Cave Creek Water, and $1.5 million for Desert Hills for improvements. So we have that through next year. So our goal will be, paused a few projects just because of the IFB process. I also don't want to keep adding to the debt service, and then we're trying to sell a system while paying for improvements. It's really, is it necessary? Can we wait a few months to get through the IFB process and make the determination on whether we're going to keep the systems or not? So we got a couple of different things happening at once, but we're trying to be proactive about keeping ahead of stuff as much as we can. Yeah.
Yeah, I see your key items here, the arsenic treatment in Desert Hills, the pipeline replacements, those could certainly qualify for, a large part of that capital.
Yeah.
And then the aeration, that was kind of a new thing.
Yeah, so let me take it a little in order. So, and thinking on the arsenic mitigation, so we have 3 wells that run in Desert Hills, and one of the wells has elevated arsenic. The contaminant level of arsenic is 10 parts per million. That well is consistently 12 to 14.
12, yeah. around
12. So it's not that high, but it's above the threshold. So we have to do something. So the town system is we have to blend it with water from the Cave Creek water system. That has an impact on Desert Hills because we actually send water into Desert Hills while that well is running. We have to run water from Cave Creek while that well is running, in effect. And it means we actually have some closed valves in the system. So during the master planning, we struggle with that one, saying, that really should be a key one, but it's about a $2 million investment to do a wellhead treatment out there to help the distribution work better.
Is that a matter of just a filtration system, just to run it through a bunch of filters, or what? You have to do something?
Yeah, you do like for arsenic, there's a couple of technologies. One of them is called arsenic absorption vessels. So you do it through it, but effectively the media gets exhausted. So, but yeah, for that size of a well at, we're talking about 200 gallons a minute of flow, and even with the lower contaminant levels, the last cost estimate that I got on a system is $2 million. So, and then you're going to have an ongoing cost to that media will have to get changed out too. The thinking's changed a little bit because last year we actually had two of the wells go down at the same time at Desert Hills, and we were able to keep the Desert Hills customers wet with water by sending more water through the Cave Creek system on Cloud Road. I really think pushed the issue for me that the second connection to Desert Hills is more valuable, and that's going to cost more than $2 million. So we really need to start that project. So the new CIP, this is the current one, or this is the projected one. We try to accelerate that connection line between the two systems. That goes back to where we're keeping both systems. So, but we'll do an alignment study. We've actually got a developer we were working with who has a project at Desert Hills that there's looking to help participate in that so they can get their project going. They have a certificate of assured water supply. So we actually met with them. And if we can come to a conclusion, they might actually help us pay for that line and participate in that. So, yeah. And then you mentioned the aeration system. So as I talked about, the city of Phoenix, we're 5 pressure zones above their treatment system. It's not 5. It doesn't go into a reservoir each zone. So some of their sites are just inline boosters that just move the water up. So it's kind of interesting how their system works because they're moving it all the way up, not 12 miles, but 10 miles to get up to Carefree Highway. And how their system, it's interesting how it works. But we suspect that there may be, because we're at the top end of their system here at Union Hills, there could be some water age. In the grand scheme of the city of Phoenix system, the fact that we're 10 miles away from the treatment plant is actually nothing. They've got a lot larger system, so there's a lot more customers more than that away. And we do anticipate that when we start drawing water off the top of their system, that actually will help their water quality because we're constantly moving a flow of water off of them. So it'll actually benefit them. But we do think that once it goes into our site, which has a 1 million gallon reservoir, and then if we aren't running the treatment plant and we're sending it up to our Neary site, then what the models project is that if we try to move it then up to our Rockaway site, the last reservoir that we have, that's when the water age, because then it's going to take a while to get up there. It's going to take a long time for us to get it out of that system. So that's where we might have to do the aeration system if we want to keep all 3 reservoirs functionally running. That's something we're going to have to evaluate. It was originally something we looked at, including with the scope of work with the current contract. We had the design done and started and a cost model done. So we actually have a selected vendor. We held off on it, not knowing because there's some science and some art to designing these aeration systems. And we thought it'd be best and prudent to wait till after we start receiving Phoenix water and see what the issues are and run it for a while and balance the system out before we go in and do $1 million investment in that aeration. So we have a budget.
Phoenix water.
Yeah. Right now they're saying July, maybe sooner. I'm pushing them for sooner to start the site up. Our site could be operationally ready in less than, I think we're down to the last 60, 90 days. We're waiting for Phoenix to be able to deliver the water to us. They have a booster station upgrade that I was just told that that booster station should go into functional testing next month. So they want to do a 30-day commissioning on that. And then the next holdup will be they have one more pipeline to do on Lone Mountain to complete, and that's what's delaying it. The conversation with them is, well, can you give me some water before that pipeline's in? And I think I've wore them down. So, but yeah, we anticipate by the end of summer, if not sooner, we will be running that site and getting City of Phoenix providing some of the town's water resources. So that means we'll use our treatment plant less, and we'll be taking treated water from Phoenix, not raw water, it's treated water coming in from Phoenix and blending it with our water in the system and trying to balance to see how the system can work that way. So it's good that it's happening. It gives us that extra level of reliability in the system. And then we'll have some time to really look at how that and evaluate how the impacts are in the system. We have to work on water quality and water age and that's stuff that we'll be doing some enhanced monitoring of the system just to test out and then go back to the models and say, did the model predict it correctly and how are we operating it? So
is that considered CAP water?
It is our agreement with the city of Phoenix is we're not wholesaling water from them. The agreement is to divert, treat, and deliver water to us. And it actually specifically right now is tied to our CAP allocation, our municipal and industrial. We've had that conversation. If we can get another water supply into there, we'd have to do an amendment. They're agreeable to that. But that's how the first agreement was written, just around them effectively replacing our treatment plant. But it has to be our water resources. Yeah, we've had conversations if there's going to be some lifeline and some other stuff. So Phoenix has been a great partner for the town, but right now we have to have the water resources for them to treat and deliver. So even if the town didn't have, say, our water treatment plant, we would still have to have water resources. If we're short water resources, we still may have to buy water resources. That's where the pressure point is coming, because can we continue to buy water resources and invest in all of the infrastructure at the same time?
Is that, where that is located on Cape Creek Road, is that actually in Carefree?
No, no,
It's,
Cave Creek for the last parcel.
yeah,
Strategically done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, south of us is the storage unit that is Carefree. Across Cave Creek Road is Carefree. To the north and west of the site is our customers, our citizens. So yeah, it's the last parcel on Cave Creek Road on the east side before you go south into Sprouts. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, if you go by, it's coming along nicely. The obviously there's disruption with the roadway work. You'll see that. We still have to go back into the road. So while they've done the roadway now, we still have to go in the 16-inch water line that we have to tie into in front of the site. Ironically, is in between the two traffic lanes. So when we go to do that work, we actually have to divert traffic all to the other side of the road and shut it down to one lane for probably about a week period while we cut into that 16-inch water line. So it happens to be right in the middle of the what we call the skip line between the two travel lanes. So to safely excavate down to it, we actually have to push traffic over. So
Stay tuned.
yeah.
progress.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it'll be disruptive, but we've had to do it a few times since I've been here. So, but I think they're anticipating they can be in and out within a week and
Good.
get in and
That's great.
get in and get out. But yeah, we're real excited about it coming online. You'll start seeing some, the site's been paved out and they're actually, I'll pass along, you guys know before the council. I haven't sent it to the council yet. Yesterday, we got our APS meter. So we actually have an electric circuit service out there at the site. So it's taken this long to the process. The transformer came early. We thought that transformer, they delivered the transformer, oh great. And then it was the rest of it getting it together. So we finally got the meter set, all the infrastructure improved and a meter set. So I have a live APS meter down there to power everything. So yeah, we're down to the end of the project. You see, if you drive by, you'll see the pumps are there. It's dual zone, so there's 6 pumps. 3 pump into the general area. It's called our pressure zone 1. And if you go up Cape Creek Road to Stagecoach Pass, that becomes pressure zone 4. The next set of pumps actually pump north to that pressure zone. And that water we can get into the town core through our Neary site, and then Neary can feed the rest of the system. So that site will actually be able to an emergency feed in all of Cave Creek and also Desert Hills, because zone 1 is where Desert Hills gets its water from. So it's going to be a huge game changer for us.
Yeah.
So
And I thought, Sean, that the interconnect was also going to take water if we had excess water from the Rancho Manana area. Weren't we at one point gonna give them something and they were gonna give
that
us?
was a capital project that we have in the CIP this year. It's actually called the Reclaimed Water Exchange with Phoenix.
Right.
As a project, it set aside $125,000 for that.
So that's
we were
not the
excited.
interconnect.
No, that was
Okay.
going to be a separate project. That was
Okay.
going to be the Phoenix water system. When we did the master plan, there was some discussion. When there are times of the year, while in total we don't produce enough effluent, and Rancho Manana uses about 300 acre feet of irrigation water a year. We typically are delivering about 150 acre feet to their lakes. So there's about 150 acre feet of loss. We're actually trying to reduce that loss by working with them. But we only produce about 200 acre feet of effluent. But ironically, there's times of the year that we produce more effluent and backwash water from our wastewater treatment plant that they can use. So it's those times when the lakes overflow, we thought we could work with Phoenix to send that water somewhere else,
Right.
give us someplace else to put it. Right now, we can't put it anywhere else. That's where we thought we could generate. And that was between 50 and 70 acre feet a year that we overflow the lakes. We thought if we get control over that, we can generate water resources. Well, we actually had a good discussion again, Phoenix being a good partner. They did the modeling and they said, okay, we could do that, but here's the infrastructure downstream wasn't designed to take that flow, because we gave them some numbers of what that would look like. We looked at where overflows occurred. And if you look at their collection system, they designed their sewer system for their services. Again, we're the top end of the sewer system. You have to look downstream of them. There's still a lot of development, like along south of the Cape Creek Dam that's being developed.
Right.
All that's they've anticipated for that flow. And along Sonoran Parkway, all that flow is going to come in. So when they did the modeling, they said, okay, we could do it, but here's the constriction. There's about a 1 mile section of pipe in the middle of Cave Creek Road that needs to be replaced. So we'd have to participate in that oversizing for a 1 mile in the middle of the road. And then once it gets down to their wastewater treatment plant, because they've changed to this advanced water purification plant, the losses on that, the treatment losses, they lose 30% of the water that goes down there. So you start factoring all those things in, it's like it doesn't make practical sense. We got a huge capital investment we need to participate in, because we'd be driving the upgrading of that sewer line. They don't need to upsize it. taking the flow from us would cause the oversizing. So we'd have to participate with that or pay for all of that, a 1 mile section of sewer line.
Hmm.
And we'd only be getting the best is they said 70% was probably the best recovery rate we could get on that. So when you factor that in, it became very expensive water.
Right.
So we had a good meeting with them. So, but they said, no, it's probably not going to be our benefit to us. But yeah, that was a separate project that came out of the master plan. That was somewhat another way of us getting control over the deliveries through the Rancho Manana site, because it kills us when we overflow the lakes, because we
Right.
don't have anywhere else to put the effluent water or the backwash water from plant. But if we figure if we got control over the effluent delivery at another spot, that would be benefit, but it didn't work out. So. But yeah, we have a lot of projects on queued up. Again, we're trying to get some maybe some outside staff resources to help run some of the projects, but there's a lot coming together really quickly. Some projects are paused with the lens of, are we gonna, well, this invitation for bidders are going out there, how much more new debt do we want to take on? So we are looking at, what's truly essential and what can be paused, or what can we do design on and get ready queued up for construction.
Yeah.
So a lot of moving parts, a lot more than I would have liked, but we're.
Well, we thank you for all of your work and your team's work, on behalf of the town.
Team, yeah. Any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited, like things like Desert Hills. We're excited about getting this collector site up. And then we probably will start doing some meter change outs this year. We are starting to see some of the original meters out there were put in 2012. So they come with a 10-year battery life. So if you do the math, but we typically been seeing lot more than that. But yeah, we need to start doing some meter change outs out there. So we do have some money set aside, getting the collectors up, and then we want to get more Desert Hills customers on the AMI system. So that's a big goal for us. So that'll be a benefit even if we, if we sell the system, that's a benefit to someone buying it. So yeah. And it was for us, it's just anything we can do to help the customers out better. So. Yeah, so sorry I get long-winded and talking about budgets and stuff. There's a lot of things moving, a lot of moving parts for us. So yeah.
You're passionate.
Yeah. So I'm sure what our next agenda is that the last one.
Oh, no, there's a committee discussion on general rate design, blended base rates and usage tiers. So this was just a carryover, I guess, in case you guys wanted to continue those discussions.
Yeah, we I should say, haven't put together anything beyond what we showed last meeting as far as the tiered rates. It's definitely something that we want to get forward, before the announcement in probably fourth quarter, and probably parallel that. One of the messages I think that we're going to have Bo help us with, though, is to get people in the frame of mind that if they're using more than 10,000 gallons, their price is going to go up a lot. They need to start hearing that right now. And we're going to discuss this down the road as to exactly how much is enough.
Right.
But I think it's critical, especially if we're cut down to well below what we're currently using.
Yeah, one good thing is that, we have outside of the rate study, with the 2022 drought management plan, we actually changed town code to allow council the authority to impose surcharges. So once we know what the cuts will be, that we can have that discussion with council, and once they can authorize and agree to a drought stage that we're in, that enables them to come forward and probably work with the community to come up with some surcharges. Again, right now we have our tiered structure, but it actually allows for the upper two tiers for us to impose extra surcharges over and above to help pay for extra enhanced water conservation efforts and or enforcement of lack of wasting of water and stuff like that. So we have some of the tools in place. So we can. I was talking with Michelle Van Quathen, our water attorney. There's some things we might want to strengthen in regards to that. But yeah.
So one of the thoughts that I had, Sean, is in the money generated from the higher tiers, because people are not going to necessarily cut back, but they're going to pay more. And that kind of money has to go to find new water sources somehow. And we're going to have to pay more for them. I don't know where they exist. I know you're talking to the different communities and resources, but we're going to have kind of a list of, A, B, C, D, various options as to where we can go in the event that we do have a water shortage. And if it costs twice as much or 3 times as much, that's what we want this rate structure to be able to kind of adapt to.
Yeah, and actually, What's in the drought plan is actually, that's coming through the current spend, because we actually built it in. That's one of the reasons we have the current rate increases. We're falling behind because we actually had to, we put in the $12 million for water purchases. But what we have in town code right now is actually more specific to allowing for enforcement. If we go to a stage 4 condition, which means that I anticipate that we're 25% short in our water resources available to us, we can ask, not only ask, but require people to cut their usage. And that specifically outdoor water use and stuff like that. And part of their thought with this surcharges is to enforcement, someone monitoring it. Ryan does a great job right now looking at the My 360, but you'd have to have someone out there and actually going out to somebody and say, no, you are using irrigation, you have to shut it off, and doing all that. That's going to take time and staff effort. And that's part of the reason for that. But the water resources is a little bit larger for capital. And then we built that into the capital program, which got absorbed into this current rates. But as we were finding, there's no cheap, easy water out there. It's getting more expensive and harder for us to get it. So we have several things, ideas queued up. We'll keep bringing those forward to council, but that'll be interesting as we there's not going to be one solution. And the one thing that we're looking for is really to diversify. The town, rightfully or wrongfully, the Cave Creek Water Company, they started to develop up in here. I think it was like mid-50s that they started providing water services, and it was based on groundwater withdrawal. They soon realized that they couldn't support growth up here because of the aquifer to withdraw the groundwater. So what did they do? Well, they went and looked to the Central Arizona Project, secured a allocation of municipal industrial water, and built a 12-mile pipeline and a water treatment plant to get access to surface water up here. And everybody thought, well, now you've moved to a reliable surface water supply. Now that rug is being pulled out from underneath us. It's the reliability is in question. So, that's the town did, the water company before that did everything right, and all of a sudden the game has changed. So that what's our next step? And that's our sort of struggle point. That's one of the reasons council asked us to look at the invitation for bidders. Can the town absorb all this with 4,500 customers?
Right.
How much can we afford? We already have really high rates, and we are aware of that. I think it was a good thing that we did the lower tier. And I know there's some discussion on that to help those customers that are being really good users of water. People below the 10,000, 4,000 below. That's really a lifeline. That's an indoor water use. And we want to promote that. So, and then, we did lower the top tier, but, it's funny because Brad Hill's one of our consultants. He came from Flagstaff, and he laughed when I showed him our tier structure. He said their top tier out there is like 15,000 above that in Flagstaff. That's their top tier. We had 50,000, now we're at 40,000. So, should we lower that even more? To really say, if you want to use outdoor watering, you need to find another source of water. Don't tie off our systems for domestic interior use and fire protection. So it's interesting times. And then, we do have the lens of, also, the town doesn't have a property tax. So we have sales tax. We have to help our businesses, and our businesses are getting, I wouldn't say hurt, but they're being impacted by the rate increases, because successful businesses like our restaurants, they get charged a lot more money as our rates go up. I'm not sure. Interesting, there'd be discussion with the next rate study if we want to look at creating. We do have a different business category. Do we want to encourage that and create a different tier structure just for them outside of residential? Because 85% of our customer base is residential, and that's 80+% of our water usage on the 85 customers. So the top 20% are, we don't have that many businesses, but some of them need a lot of water. And do we want to promote, what businesses do we want to have in town? I think everybody will say that, the restaurants all that are a great thing for the town to have, but how do you keep them from going bankrupt, paying our water bills? So we had that conversation with them a lot. They're very aware of, and they're very keen on that type of stuff. It's an operational expense to them.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It's the agenda item, future agenda items and meeting schedule. So you guys want to meet again? And
I think that we should set one up just to get something on the calendar. Does the last Wednesday of the month work for you? Like it'd be the 27th of May?
Yes. For me. Or wait. Labor Day's, right, the 25th? So we will be in Rocky Point, sorry.
You'll be in Rocky Point now.
Mm. How about the 20th? Is that too soon?
I might have a problem. I have a granddaughter graduating.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
21st, Fred.
Oh,
Or move it to, and maybe everybody else could come,
Maybe move it to the next month.
27th of June.
Well, I just don't want to lose momentum. You know, as you get into the summer, we may end up skipping several months in the summer. The council usually shuts down,
Mm.
you know, so there's not going to be a lot for us to do except to get our rate plan ready for, you know, submitting to the council, probably, what do you think, August, September timeframe?
Well, then we'll know, we'll have an idea what's coming forward, and then, yeah, we'll be sort of reacting to that. Again, we have the bridge solutions in place, and then whether it's too early, until we start getting, I think, into some long-term solutions and some contracts, I think, you know, looking at how that will be paid for, the rates might be a little ahead of itself, so, yeah, but, you know.
Before that, I would really like to see a total breakdown, you know, by user of what usages are.
I like to use these categories. I think we have like 7 use categories.
You know, I wouldn't mind seeing the raw data. You know, I don't need to know who it is. I just, by
That'll be
account
good.
number, how many gallons did you use?
I think we've got, something that was put together in 24-25 that I can probably get updated. That breaks it down by category.
Yeah, if we could,
Rate.
you know, get it for the last year, you know, would be even more helpful because that's, you know, current usages. And I think that we're gonna have to kind of plug that into our modeling, you know, to kind of figure out, you know, how to weight it.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Nancy, you still with us?
Yes. Nancy?
Yep, and I just said in businesses, what he just said, I just put that in chat.
yeah,
So-
I think we do it by customer class. We have our customer classes. We have residential, multifamily residential, businesses,
Restaurants.
restaurants are separate. We have breakout restaurants separately.
Commercial,
Schools.
commercial, or no.
We have pools, well, you only have 6 commercial pools, so we only have 6 customers, but, you know, we'll,
Preliminary irrigation. That's the last.
yeah, and the irony is that we don't really have that many common irrigations. A lot of where we have irrigation, a lot of it, and we're trying to, that might be a code change. I'm actually looking at seeing if we can do is requiring businesses to separate out their domestic and irrigation use. Right now, a lot of the businesses don't have that. So, you know, when we start talking about outdoor water use, we don't know what they're using.
Mhm.
I think I looked at the numbers and it's less than a quarter of the commercial customers that we have a separate irrigation meter. So I'm not sure if that's something we want to go and work with them to retrofit so that they have it sub-metered so that we can have that conversation with them. How do you save the water indoor and outdoor? So
Well, and eventually, this is Nancy, eventually, you know, as this gets worse, which it's coming, it seems like, unless something drastic happens, you know, all the gray water can be used for outside. And especially to business. So, you know, if they still want to have their place look decent, but, you know, they're going to have to do a little bit of changing, possibly with some plumbing. But, you know, gray water is very usable for all your trees and all your outside,
Yeah.
anything you're trying to keep alive.
Gray water is very different than my washing machine.
yeah, for commercial, it's hard. And honestly, because mostly commercial businesses are tied to the town sewer system, that takes away water from our affluent generation. So yeah, it's yeah.
Mhm.
It would have to be businesses that are not connected to the sewer system.
We have almost most of them are. I think I just suggested. Yeah, they all are. So I don't suggest we have a handful of non-customers, if anything. I can't think of any.
Couple down here.
So everybody along Cave Creek is all sewer?
Yeah, that goes back to the sewer improvement district that was done in 1995 when the town bought the sewer company and put the ID in. So they brought the line down Cave Creek Road in through the town core, and they brought another one south of Cave Creek Road, which goes through the wash to get all the businesses converted from septic to sewer system.
Okay, so, but no, there aren't small businesses? I mean, every single business on Cave Creek, from Carefree all the way down, is all hooked up?
There's a handful, and we're actually working with those ones because by town code, the other ones should be converted. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword for us because again, with such a small sewer system, only 940 sewer customers, the plant's actually, I looked this up the other day, the last good, 2006, before they built the new plant, they looked at it. By now, the projected flows of that wastewater treatment plant should be about 600,000 gallons a day. We are still struggling right now. We're less than 200,000 gallons of flow because the system hasn't expanded where they thought. The dry sewer areas were not converted. There was discussion about the Black Mountains area being converted. There was discussion about sending the sewers because we just annexed the state lands. So state lands going out to 24th Street. They call that the core area. That was going to be converted. And then they were actually going to send some sewer over into the Desert Hills to be the commercial along Carefree Highway. None of that came to fruition. So we're struggling with that plant because of that. And if that had been the case, we'd have excess water. Then we really be pushing to get water exchange or do recharge or something. So.
Right, and that's gonna go down as well when people start conserving.
Yeah. So, yeah. I am really interested in the idea of talking to businesses about seeing, getting separate landscape meters and that also goes into the rates because if you look at our sewer rates, we actually currently don't charge commercial customers for the first 10,000 gallons. The thought being that's their indoor water use. We're only or their outdoor water use. We're only charging for their indoor water use because we can't calculate that properly. If you look at how the rate was built, we had that discussion this last time with Kevin from Wildan, but he said, yeah, until we had to have a better way of policing that, which would be monitoring it, which is meters on landscaping. So.
So do you want to book the meeting for May 27th and just see, hopefully everybody else, will have a quorum that could come.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of leave it at that for now. And
Yeah.
hopefully we can get a full group. If not, then we'll kind of punt and try to do something early June.
Okay.
Any idea on agenda items? You would just kind of send out a feeler or?
Well, I'd like to talk about the rate, the tiered rates.
Kind of standing for that one.
And continued input on guidance for both.
And
So-
by then, maybe, I forget what you said, the RFP was gonna come out in another 30 days or 60 days, so there might not be an update on that.
Yeah, at that point, again, we got a fair amount of data. The invitation is IFB, invitation for bidders is what it's called.
Okay.
And then in the last process, I realized the questions they're going to ask, I'm trying to be proactive before we send this one out in the street. We get all the information that they need in the format that they asked for last time. So we had some good bidders questions and that made us look at stuff. But we have a lot of sites in Cave Creek and wastewater to go through to make sure we have all the information corrected in our systems so that they can look at it. They want to be able to evaluate the systems and we have to give them the data in the format that they can make a proper evaluation. If we don't, help
Yeah, I
get
saw
best bid
that. That
possible.
was, the questions and your guys' response, it was very well done.
Yeah, it just took a lot of time. So I'm trying to be proactive about that. It just takes some time to do it. So
Okay, so probably not another month.
All right, with that, I think I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All right,
See.
well, thank you guys.
Done.
for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great meeting.